King Solomon, Jay, I've been reading on him. What do you know about this guy?
Okay. Yeah. This one, the Wisdom of Solomon, is not one that I've really put much depth into before now. So there were things that were catching my eye, but I got to confess, this is one of my weak points right here.
I happen to consider myself a King Solomon aficionado there. And
okay.
So I can break it down to you and carry it a little bit. King Solomon, you're going to see when I give you this information, is very Book of Enoch-esque, for lack of a better word.
Book of Enoch-esque, yeah.
When it comes to...
It's very similar.
It's a Lord of the Rings tale, I'll tell you that. And then,
yeah.
and then like how it was just snatched out of the Bible. But to give everybody a quick rundown on who King Solomon is. King Solomon was the son of David, King David, and he actually went on to rule after King David. King Solomon was and still is considered to this day to be the richest man ever alive, to ever live, and he is considered to be the smartest, wisest man ever to live, ever will be alive. And also that's in the gospel as well, that God goes on to say that no one will be as smart as King Solomon.
As smart as
Solomon was.
Yeah.
Right? You can find his story, and here these guys are going to give me a sponsorship one day. This book is great.
I know, right?
The complete 54 Apocrypha 22 edition. It's in here. What was taken out. King Solomon wrote a great. I think he wrote Corinthians, but he also wrote Proverbs in the Bible. And if anybody's interested in getting into any type of religion, here's a news flash for you. When it comes to Christianity, the Christian Bible is not meant to be read from start to finish in the cover. It's way too confusing because things have been muted and taken out or whatever. But a good place I tell everybody to start, if you're curious with Christianity, is start in Proverbs, King Solomon's word. And basically all it is a smart guy passing down wisdoms that my son actually reads, and I'll go in there and I'll read it with him. Just tells you how to live your life, man. Sound advice about financial. Like King Solomon's also a good, like it's also a good financial. Like if you're having trouble with money, go read Proverbs. It will tell you like how to manage your money as well. So anyways, that's basically
just like
that's the 9 to 5 stuff.
A really good book of just kind of timeless. Yeah, timeless wisdom, just nitty gritty.
That's a good way to say it right there, man. Timeless wisdom on there, because it will tell you, man, that it'll tell one of the things that it tells me. One of the things I like in there, it'll tell you never argue with the fool. It's one of the things. They'll never argue with the fool. You will come away frustrated. He'll walk away a fool, right? And so so never argue with the fool, man. I was like, dang, man, that could have saved me years off my life when I was younger, right?
Right, exactly. No, I can tell you from personal experience every day.
Never argue
with fools.
Never argue with fools, man. So, but it's really good. It's a really good read. But look, man, that's the 9 to 5 stuff, all right? That's not what this channel's about. We get into the weird. We get into the stuff that you're not supposed to talk about to get into, right?
Yeah. So there was some interesting things in here about, and I can't find it right at this moment in time, but about the afterlife.
Well, so yes, so it has some good stuff in there, but let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
So King Solomon's mother was some scandal in her life, right? King David actually murdered her first husband and then kind of took her as a wife, right? But nobody's perfect. But, he had him murdered. Put to death in a war or whatever, put him towards the front lines. But
yeah, I remember that story from.
So there was a little bit of controversy on who was going to, succeed the throne or whatnot. But God showed favor on Solomon, and he actually asked Solomon, what can I do? So Solomon actually asked God for wisdom, and he's like, since you didn't ask for long life, money, more riches, more power, I'm going to grant you this wisdom to rule these people. And that's where they say that Solomon got his massive intelligence from and wisdom, because not only was he incredibly genius level smart, He actually knew how to use that. And we've talked about in previous podcasts on that. Is some people are super, super smart and don't know how to use it.
Wisdom is intelligence is remembering information. Wisdom is being able to practically apply it.
You can go out into the outback of Australia, bump into an Aborigine who can't write 3 words together, but he could show you how to cure every disease on the planet, and with all this wisdom, right? So King Solomon had the ability to do both, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually goes on to build God's temple. And that temple was so grand, God actually came and dwelled in that temple, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people get this confused. Solomon did not live in that temple. Solomon also built himself a palace, right? And that palace is where he lived. And under that palace, he had supposedly all these gold mines and stuff like that. Fun fact for you, King Solomon's palace has never been found. Never, right? There's a really good cheesy movie, man, called King Solomon's Mines. Like it's from the 80s or something like that, man. Oh, it's hilarious stuff, man. Good read. So anyways, so that gets into that's the foundation of what King Solomon was. And so he had 700 wives, 300 concubines. He's considered the richest man ever. In modern times, they said that he would today's wealth.
I would think that those two are mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
Right? Having 700 wives and being the richest man in the world.
Yeah. So
like
could afford it. And
I guess.
Yeah, he could, man. And so like it also said dude was worth today's wealth, he'd be worth $2.2 trillion. This dude was taking in $60 billion worth of today's currency a month in tribute. $60 billion a month, right? And it did say that there was so much gold in back then, I guess it would be Israel.
In
that region, that silver was basically worthless. Like so much gold was flying around. So a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So not only was he wasn't hoarding this money, like everybody was getting rich, right? But anyways, enough of that economics, enough of that theology. We're getting weird here, right? We're going to get weird here. We're going to get weird. Get down to it.
Okay.
Solomon was gifted for reasons unknown, even in this book that I'm reading over here. Solomon was gifted a ring from God, delivered to him by Archangel Gabriel. So this guy had a direct contact, not a dream, direct contact with an archangel who gave him a ring, and the ring was allowed him to control demons. This story is so well known that even the Muslims talk about it, that he was gifted a ring by Gabriel that allowed him to control Jinn. That's what they call demons in Islam, is Jinn. And Gabriel was the messenger angel that supposedly gave Muhammad, it was Prophet Muhammad, I think. He gave Muhammad
the prophecies or whatever. The
prophecies or the Book of Islam or whatever. No offense to any.
And then there was the stone, whatever the black stone of Mecca is.
The black stone of Mecca, exactly.
I don't know where that came from. I can't remember that story.
I have a great theory on that, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so, I mean, we're going to get off topic a little bit here. So, Solomon had the Ark of the Covenant. And so, when Solomon had the Ark of the Covenant, he put it into the temple, and then a mist supposedly came upon it, and God dwelled in there. So, to me, looking back on it now, I think that was a portal device that opened up a realm where I don't think God physically set inside that temple. I think God dwelled there, like Solomon could go in there and talk.
Like there was a telepresence kind of deal.
Exactly. So I could look into heaven and God could look down and they could talk or whatever. I actually think that there was more than one of those arks. And I think that one of those arks was buried in Mecca underneath that stone. I think that stone kept that ark from people. There's stories about people dying, getting like electricity shooting off there and killing them, right? Like only the Levites could get so close to this thing, right?
And then so that begs the question, like, if a normal human walked up to this thing,
Right.
it would just insta death, right?
Yeah,
Not like Indiana Jones on just arc.
Yeah, no, you're not gonna agonize there. Like this thing is gonna fry you, right? Like it's gonna get rocked.
Yeah.
And so
then what's different about the Levites?
So well, if we want to dig deep, we're gonna dig deep here. So when the 12 tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel are based off the 12 sons of Jacob. God changed Jacob's name to Israel. Each son got a tribe. Levi was one of those sons, and God said out of the Levites, those became his priests. Something about those guys, he said those guys, the Levites, could do
the priesthood.
The priesthood.
Right.
So the priesthood guys could go in there and do that. They did have to wear like certain kind of clothes and like this gold plate on there or whatever, whatnot. But something about them, they were allowed to go in there.
So I wonder if it was more along the lines of, hey, you guys are the only ones who are going to know how to work this technology, and here's your radiation suit.
Could be.
Right?
Could be.
You know what I mean?
So there's another fascinating theory too that when God led them out of Egypt and Moses went up to one of the mountains. I can't remember what the mountain is. He went up to one of those mountains to basically get the 10 Commandments. The people revolted, right? Because he was gone so long.
Yeah, I remember.
Like 30 days. His cousin Aaron was left behind. He was basically Moses' number 2 guy. And they forced him to build a golden calf, which basically is Baal. Baal's a demon god that takes on a bull, right?
Right.
And they say they sacrificed. Well, basically, to me, they probably did a human sacrifice. They probably sacrificed a virgin or whatever, whatnot down there, because demons, even Molech, the Jews in the past got punished pretty hard for. It says don't. Even in the Bible, today's Bible will tell you don't pass your child through the fire to Molech. They used to sacrifice their firstborns, right? God saws it, tells Moses, like, I can't believe they're doing this. I'm done with these people. I'm going to wipe them out, and I'm going to build you a nation. But Moses is like, no, please don't, please don't, right? So he goes back down there to him, tells him to stop.
He lays it out.
He asked Aaron what happened, and Aaron was like, hey, look, these people were going to kill me, so I did it. And so he took the Levites, and the Levites randomly executed like 3,000 people, right? They just executed them, right? They just randomly did it, right? And then God marched them around. He's like, none of these people are going to the promised land. And so the theory is the reason why they marched him around for 40 years is because they were eating this stuff called manna, right? Mm-hmm. And the theory is that the ark was actually a nuclear reactor, and at 40 years is basically the lifespan of a nuclear reactor, right? But the material that was in there, and it just stopped. And that's why they can't. That's just a theory, though, man. I don't go into it, but that leads into what you're saying is that the Levites knew how to not go in there and lose their fingernails and their eyebrows fall off, right? So like radiation.
Yeah,
it's possible, man.
Or whatever device, whatever thing that they had created there.
So
they were given very specific instructions on how to build the ark, right?
Yeah. And so the thing, that
part I do know.
The thing too, you fill that thought out, man. Like this wasn't a random. Build me a box. Like this wasn't random. No. Like there was like very specific details. And inside of the box specifically was said, line it with gold, right?
Right.
So that wasn't for show because no one's looking inside that box. That had a purpose about it, right? And so,
right.
Yeah, and also.
So here's the thing, right? So Moses had stone tablets. Mm-hmm. Wasn't God the one who actually wrote the 10 Commandments on the tablets?
Couldn't tell you.
Or I don't think Moses carved that shit. I think that's why. And then they put them in the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, when he broke them, they put them in the Ark of the Covenant. It also had, I think they put Aaron's staff in there when he passed away. They had other things in there too. I can't exactly remember what was in there. If anybody knows, give us a quick Bible study, Sunday school Bible study lesson in the comments down there. But so
I just look what is in the Ark of the Covenant.
But it was also the Ark was also a weapon. Like when the final sinful generation died, God sent Joshua to lead them across a river I'm drawing a blank on what that river is. It's a pretty famous river or whatever. But they walked out with the Ark of the Covenant and stood in the river, and the Ark split the water, and so that they could walk across. And then the first town they came across was Jericho, and they walked that thing around. They walked the Ark around Jericho's walls for 7 days to make the walls fall down, right? And there's also a good tale in there too, man. Just piggybacking off of our last podcast about the Book of Enoch. God said, go into Jericho, everybody gets it, including the animals. And he said, don't take one piece of silver, don't take anything out of there, right? Kill the kids, women, men, donkeys, dogs, everything get it, right? And they were saying that this was God's effort of the cleanup of the last of the nephilim that somehow survived the flood, right? That nephilim bloodline that was in there to go in there and do it. Deuteronomy, man, in the Bible, man, is Lord of the Rings, right? And so it's a good read on that. But anyways, Solomon had the ark, put it in the middle of the temple, right? God dwelled there. I think it was a portal.
Mm-hmm. Or some kind of communication device.
Kind of communication device, man. A Swiss Army knife from God to help his people. But I think there was more of them too. I think that underneath, because something happened a few years ago where they were doing some renovations underneath in Mecca. I can't remember what that cube is called, but they were doing something under there, and like 100 people got electrocuted. Something they found something. 100 people got electrocuted. The imam over there, the top guy, contacted the top out of Russia, contacted the Orthodox leader of the Russian church. He went there, got something. Russian military picked him up, and they sailed his butt to Antarctica. So he took whatever they gave him down to Antarctica and was down there. So I think that there was more than one around there. But
so I looked it up real quick to see what the cube was. It's called the Kaaba, right?
Okay.
It is basically the center of Islam.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It is meant to be the house of God, literally. Mm-hmm. A structure that houses God, essentially.
Okay.
So
anyways,
there's been more than one, right? I think that the important part is it houses the black rock.
It has that rock.
And I'm not. There it is. The black stone at the Kaaba has been struck and smashed by a stone fired from a catapult. It has been. Yeah. No
way. That thing's from heaven, man. That's a heavenly object, not from heaven. That's a meteorite, bro. Guaranteed, man.
Right.
Yeah, guaranteed.
Probably.
You want to start the world's biggest holy war? Go in there and take a chip out of it.
Yeah. No. Exactly. It's not like you can examine it, right? I think that would be very sacrilegious. I don't know that anyone would want to piss them off that bad.
And myself is like, do we really need to know that bad to go and to
exactly it? Right? Like, let's just leave it be and let them have their thing.
Yeah,
seriously, like
potato tomato for all I care.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody should be able to do their thing in peace.
In peace, that's the key, man. Do it in peace, man.
Exactly, do it in peace.
I was thinking about religion today when I was driving, man, and I was thought to myself, I was going to ask you this question, and then we'll get back to King Solomon. What religion is so foreign to you that you can't wrap your mind around, right? And
for me?
Yeah, you can't, and don't say Satanism, because only idiots pray to demons, right? I'm talking about like a popular religion that's on the planet that you just can't wrap your mind around.
A popular religion?
Yeah, like I wouldn't say like one that's
something. Yeah, I got you.
Like one of the big ones, right?
No, I kind of I've given a passing glance at most of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the one I can't. They're gonna come after you if I say it.
I don't care. Say it.
Those who shall not be named. But worshippers of Xenu. I find that I can't wrap my head around that shit.
Scientology?
Scientology, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just weird. Like that's just like
Yeah,
that's a cult,
it's
man.
considered a religion. Yeah, no, absolutely. I
For
feel
tax
like it's totally
purposes.
false.
For tax purposes, it's
What's
considered.
interesting, yeah, right. What's interesting about it
Hold on,
is,
hold on. I gotta put an asterisk on there, Jay. I do like me
okay.
some Tom Cruise though, man. I do like a little Maverick, man.
I can't argue with that,
I
man.
like
A little Mission
Tom Cruise, though.
Impossible, right? Like he's a good action star.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that.
He's the last Hollywood star,
I do
man.
not. What's so insidious about it is, there are some really, really valid, good teachings in Scientology mixed in with some batshit crazy nonsense.
Batshit,
right?
Yeah, I believe.
But there are some good tenets there, right? Like take care of yourself, take care of other people, be kind, like just like, okay, scoop out the good stuff and let's set that over here. And you guys, why don't we focus on that stuff and not so much the shocking people or reading their mind with electrical tin cans and shit.
Scientology re-education here. You never hear about a Scientologist near-death experience either, right? You hear about the other ones, right?
You're not allowed to talk about that.
I guess not, man. You know what it is for me? You know which one I just can't wrap my mind around it, man, is Buddhism.
Really?
And so, like, I've dated Buddhists, right? And Shintoists and I think Hindus. I've dated them, right? Like we were in Southeast Asia for like 9 years, bro. And I actually went to see the Great Buddha in Japan, the temple that it was in, right? It was an amazing place, man. And I was like, let me look into this Buddha guy here and see what's going on. The tenets of Buddhism is to basically to be happy, have nothing, right? And so like give everything away, and this like the
detach yourself from the world. Detachment.
That's a better word. Thank you. And I thought to myself, like, what? So that and my thing was like, if I want to be happy, don't do anything to try to better myself. Don't try to have attachments to anything, not even people. And the closer I get to being homeless, wearing, same clothes every day, the happier I'll be. I just could not wrap my. So my original thought is that, I know it's going to sound insensitive, right? But we grew up poor. And I thought to myself, you've never been poor, because not having things, going to bed hungry sucks. Period. I don't care how old you are, right? And I thought to myself, like, that's dumb. And I was actually in a very serious relationship with this girl. And I was like, her and I were talking about it, and I was like, man, I just can't. Like, I can't even like do this. I wasn't a religious guy at the time, right? Like, I wasn't a bad person, but like, definitely wasn't praying a lot. And I just thought to myself, like, this is dumb. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? Like, just give it all away, right? Like,
yeah, that's I think that's the Zen part of Buddhism, isn't it? Is the detachment part, right? I think that that's good for monks,
maybe,
right? But not good for necessarily everybody, right? I think that that's not universal kind of advice, right? Like,
you ever met a white boy Buddhist? You know one,
right?
You ever met one?
I don't know. Do I know one?
Yeah, you met him maybe 2 times, and I'm gonna tell you after the. I don't want to put his name out here, but I'll tell you offline. Right. Yo.
Okay.
Total. I don't even want to say the words, man. Like not us, right? And like everything was about balance and chakras. I'm like, bro, you're from Cleveland. Shut up. Right? You grew up in a double wide. You know what I'm saying? You come over to Asia, start dating a chick, and you're wearing sandals all the time, right? Yeah, and everything's about the yin and the yang and the balance, man. Yeah. Just shut up, bro.
Well, you know what that's all about.
You ginger prick.
Right? Oh my god, dude.
But yeah, anyways.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about any of it, to be honest. I think that in a way we create our own reality moving forward, right?
Well, like
I
attracts
think
like.
that I think that whatever's in your head when you die, maybe what you live with,
Nah,
right?
you think so?
Afterwards. Maybe. I don't know.
I better die in bed happy then, because I don't want anything out of that. Anyway, so back
No,
to the
you know
thing.
what I mean. Like
Yeah.
the beliefs you grew up with, right? Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
you kind of choose your own
Oh,
heavens.
I will tell you this though, man. Like for some not go on YouTube and look up Buddhists who have converted to Christianity after almost dying. Their stories will make your hair.
Yeah, the whole near-death experience thing is intriguing and probably worthy of its own podcast, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, we'll do that on it.
Right. Wisdom. If we get back to this thing, I don't even know. We went way off track.
I blame you.
Talking about the cop. I'll take it. I'll take it. It's fine.
All right. So anyway, rewind.
I'm looking at a picture of the Ark of the Covenant right here.
Right.
Right. And so
Solomon.
I always like to think in the shoes of the people that built it. Right. They were given instructions. Now, the instructions that we read.
Mm-hmm.
And the instructions that they were given may have been different. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
Like
completely.
Colloquialisms and meanings and codes and such, right? Because you wouldn't want that to be written down in your holy book that anybody could get a hand on.
Well, so the Levites were supposedly to have that written
supposed
down.
To be the keeper of knowledge, right?
And so like the other 11 tribes weren't allowed to go in there, right? So not only are you right, they did write it down. They did keep it secret. They kept even among the Levites. Not every Levite got to go in there, right? So they had to go in there and do it. So they had orders with it. Solomon had it. Solomon built this magnificent temple. And it was put in there. A mist fell upon it. And that's where God dwelled. I think it was a portal. But back to the thing where Archangel Gabriel actually gave King Solomon a ring to control spirits, demons. Even in this book over here, the Apocrypha, it doesn't say why he gave it, that he had it, right? But it does say he put it to use. He put it to use. Like this dude went hard. Go on YouTube, some good stories. Go read this on your own. But he started rounding these things up, man. And I'm talking about like he was pulling in not little bitty ones. Like he was pulling in like principal spirits. I don't want to name them or anything like that. I don't want it to be that type of podcast. Right. But like he was pulling these things in and he was imprisoning them underneath the temple after he made them work. Like he made them help build it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and that's left out, right? And then another thing in there too, where it's glossed over, is that he actually had conversations with them. Like he would ask them. So the ring would basically command them to do whatever he said, right? He would want their names, and then he would use their names, and then he would ask them, "What are you over?" And like these things were over, like, "Oh, I'm over the oceans, or I'm over
whatever."
Yeah, and so based on two of these things looked like dragons. One of them looked like a 3-headed dog. One of them like were coming in, right? One of them was like a snatcher of children, and then like he was just rounding them up, man, and putting them away. And it's fantastic. It's I was like, wow. Like I was reading that.
So these would be the, like if we were to go back to Enoch, these would be the disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, right?
That's
the Jinn.
It has to be.
Right? So these things that are roaming around,
actually, they could have been high-ranking generals in the rebellion in heaven as well. Like these were high-ranking things, right? So it could have been that.
They were essentially disembodied angels or descendants thereof.
Well, no, it says that like to get them to do what he had to do, he threw the ring at them and it hit them. Like these were supposedly physical beings. Right.
Huh.
So yeah, man.
Okay.
Read bro. You got to get one of these. You got to get you one of these, man.
I know. I'll get the book,
bro.
I'll get it.
And I also it wasn't like he was like doing the Green Lantern thing with it, right? Like he would,
right.
He would like in the
he
book.
Throw it at
the book said he would throw it at him and he would hit him. And one time he gave it to a boy and said, "Go get this thing." The boy went, pegged it with this ring,
Uh-huh.
Brought it back, right? Yeah, it's a wild story, man. It's a wild story.
That's nuts.
Yeah, man. So it's a wild story.
Here, kid.
And so
Take this ring and throw it at Mr. Johnson if you would.
and so you want to say to yourself, like, completely dismiss it, right?
Yeah.
Here's that little subtitle at the bottom, right?
Right.
There is another version of that story where King Solomon actually wrote 2 books called the Lesser. I wrote this down, man. The Lesser Key of Solomon. That was by the name the Clavicle Solomon's Regus, whatever, right? And the Greater Key of Solomon. Supposedly you can get these books. Don't go buy these books. Go on YouTube and look at people telling you don't buy these books. Supposedly these books are so jacked up that just having them on your bookshelf in your house will curse you, bad stuff will happen or whatever. In these books...
So what you're telling me is you buy it as a present for someone else.
Hey, man, your mother-in-law, you know what I'm saying? Just down the street, right? Just down the street, right?
She lives too close to me.
Oh, yeah, no. So
too close.
Yeah, buy it as a present, right? So the Lesser Key of Solomon supposedly has... I will never read these books or have any intention to do it, right? Ignore warnings at your own cost, especially when it comes from this type of stuff. But it had ancient symbols in there, rituals of summoning and binding and all this other stuff, right? So the schools of thought is that, no, he didn't have a ring. He had these books. Other people said, no, he had a ring. Because he did ask the demons, how can I bind you? And they were forced to compel him, right? They were compelled to answer.
They're forced to confess, yeah.
So some people said, no, the ring got the knowledge. He wrote the books. Some people say, no, the books gave him the knowledge. And I'm like, stop. We're talking about somebody knows how to summon and trap demons. Who gives a shit where you got that knowledge from, right? Right. So I was like, yo, is this for real? But anyway, so it's another thing.
Semantics at that point, right? Like,
yeah.
Hey, the important part is we can summon a demon and trap it.
Right. And here's the kicker.
I feel like that's a bad idea.
That's a horrible idea, right? Here's the kicker, right?
Yeah.
So as you know, everything fun is hidden under the Vatican. Vatican has a 3-mile archive underneath at the libraries, right? So under a vault in there, right? In the, I want to say 30s, I don't know why it is. In the 30s, a priest in the Vatican found it, the original, right? For like,
King Solomon's ring.
No, it found the I'll tell you what that ended up in a second.
Oh, the book.
The book. Read it, and he said that when he first started reading these books, it gave him an adeptic memory. Like he could remember everything. Like Sheldon Cooper, everything, right? And he's like, this is great. Kept reading it. He started seeing demons. Kept reading it. Almost went insane.
Okay.
Almost lost his mind, right? And so he stopped, right? And it's a great story. I'm not doing it justice. It's its own podcast. You can go look it up. I'm not even going to say his name. Go look it up on YouTube.
I'll take care. Yeah, I'll look into it.
Yo, and it was amazing, right? So I was like, yo, that is horrifying. So he's like, yo, read this book at your own peril. It probably will kill you. And so it stopped on that. And then it got me thinking too. It's like, yeah, so like, you know, not everybody's built to be a genius, right? Your mind just can't help it. Like, just look at chess grandmasters. Go look at the number of chess grandmasters.
Yeah, some of those guys crack.
Like Bobby Fischer.
Right.
I'm saying, like,
well,
dude.
I mean, here's the thing. When it comes to being very, very intelligent, like, it's lonely.
Yeah.
Right? Because having that kind of conversation where you're talking about like the collapsing wave function of a black hole, a lot of people's eyes roll in the back of their head when you start, you know, spouting out theoretical physics, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of people who can conceptualize the sort of things that...
Yeah, I mean, you got to have a good imagination, you know, like with, you know, how you can take crayons and Play-Doh and say, hey, look, if an alien does this and you're connected over here, you'll have a flower come out your butt. Because because it's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand
it's all made up.
And like be able to bend your mind a little bit. And some of these dudes, like these, especially these chess dudes, like, they spend years and years and years training and
it breaks them.
It's too much, right? Like there's too much data in there and it just kind of, crashes the hard drive.
All right, so check this out. You want to know where that ring ended up?
Where's the ring?
So check it out, man. I would bet you a warm Dr. Pepper, 100 guesses you would never get it where it ended up. Right? So Solomon had 700 wives, 300 concubines. Solomon was married to every important woman probably on the planet at that time. But there was a princess or queen, I would say, Queen Sheba out of Ethiopia. She went to visit him. Super impressed. They hooked up, got married. He was one of his wives. They had a kid, a son. After the son was born, she went back to Ethiopia. I'm skipping around here a little bit. Eventually, King Solomon falls, right? And he really falls in a bad way, right? His son in Ethiopia is a man. But when this happens, he's like, this ain't happening. He goes back up to Ethiopia, goes back up to, I guess, modern day Jerusalem, where that would be, right, or whatever. Takes the covenant, takes the ring, takes the covenant, takes the ring, goes back to Ethiopia. Goes into Ethiopia, sets it up down there. It's where it's supposedly still at today. Sets it up down there, has it all good to go. That ring stays in his bloodline. Wait for this. 235 generations, son. Not years, generations.
Right.
And ends up on the finger, drum roll please, of Bob Marley. Look, and Bob,
come on,
bro, I'm telling you, look it up, bro.
Mercy.
Look it up, man. Supposedly the fragments of that ring. If you look at Bob Marley's photos, right? He has a ring. He has a ring on his finger, the same ring, all the time. Pull it up, bro.
Yeah, man. And when, that one is.
And when Bob Marley died, the ring was given back to someone over in Ethiopia, and it's kept with the ark in a temple in Ethiopia. And the Christianity originated out of, obviously, where Jesus was at, but it was adopted full mainstream in Ethiopia first. The Ethiopian Bible is 600 years older than the King James Bible, so they immediately went down. So if that's the truth, if that's the truth, that went down, that would mean that Bob Marley was a direct descendant in the same bloodline as Jesus out of King David. That came down because Jesus came out of the bloodline of King David, which I think is the tribe of Judah.
Right, I got you.
So how you like them apples, right? I was like, okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah, okay. I don't even know what to say about that.
Did you look it up?
I'm looking at some of it right now.
You see it?
Yeah. Hold on.
Hey.
Yeah, that one's spicy, dude.
But here's my thing, right? Here's my thing.
Let me stew on that one for a minute.
But here's
I like Bob Marley and all, but damn, that one is that's a stretch.
But bro, and you know how I think it's true? Because if you were going to pick somebody to make a story up about the King Solomon's ring ending up on the finger, who would have picked Bob Marley? But when you look into it, right, there could be something there with the bloodlines, right? The bloodline connection, right? Going back.
No, I see it. You know what is so messed up?
I stumped you, man. I stumped you. You didn't see that coming, did you? I froze your camera, actually.
That's so crazy, dude. That's there's a story here about it.
No, yeah, I read
it. Marley was living in London, befriended the Ethiopian royal family, and the crown prince gave him a ring that was said to belong to the emperor. It's a Lion of Judah ring.
Check out the big brain on Brad, baby. Woo, 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 woo. Taught you something there with your little.
That's fucking crazy.
Got your smoke, got your
I
ears
gotta be
smoking,
honest, man. That kicks ass. I gotta say, like, it went back to its origin. She said so.
No. It's so. The current rumor is that the Ark of the Covenant is in. It is in Ethiopia. It's in a temple over there, and that's where the ring and all the other artifacts are still in there as well, man. Because the Ethiopians are like they're hardcore Christians, man. And so, but yeah, bro. Bet you didn't think you were going to learn that in this podcast today, huh? You're over there talking about quantum physics and buttholes and black holes or whatever. I'm here laying now. I'm smacking out some facts. Bob Marley.
It's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
King Solomon's ring, son.
Well, what was interesting is that he had seen the ring in a dream 11 years earlier, which I find fascinating. Anyway. Yeah, that's crazy.
And you thought we were all good looks and jokes on this channel, son. I'm dropping bombs of knowledge over here, right? But again,
yeah.
Let me know when you're over your shock there.
Yeah, I'm over it. I'm sorry.
So check this out.
You had me like.
I know
you had me all the way up to the Queen of Sheba, and that is plausible, right? Like King Solomon marrying the Queen of Sheba is a kind of a thing, verifiable, right? Whatever. Her going back with her son, all of that's there. Going back with the Ark, totally plausible.
Yep.
Right. But when you skipped from King Solomon's ring being in Ethiopia to all of a sudden being on Bob Marley's finger, you lost me.
Bro, I had to read it twice, man. I had to read it twice, bro. I had to read it twice. But yeah,
that is a really fascinating story. So it says, the thing that I'm reading right here, it says it looks like it could be in one of two places, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's either still on Bob Marley's finger, right?
Right.
Or it went back to its origin.
I think it went back, man. So his family said they gave it back. Bob's mother claimed it went back to its place of origin. Yeah, but the tomato. Who knows? Still stuck that he had it, man. So
yeah,
Bob Marley was a Green Lantern. Let's come across could trap demons, dog. Awesome. Could trap demons.
Hey, why not?
So that's not. But you want to think that's not the only mind blower I got for you. We don't look the Enigma cast. We throw them out one at a time. I got more.
Let's do it.
I got more.
Okay, doing it. Do me. Hit me with it.
So King Solomon. When he fell, right? Do you know what caused his fall?
Probably wine, women, and song. Probably has something to do with having 700 wives.
A woman.
That
cautionary tale.
Not the multitude of women.
No,
just one
specific woman, right? A specific woman called. But every great, like so. If you're a young person watching this, or you're a guy that's been through this, I'll give you a best piece of advice, a man that we should be giving to the generation of boys going out right now. The right woman will make your life. The wrong woman will end your life. Period. Choose your wife carefully.
Choose your mate carefully.
Very carefully, right?
For sure.
Learn the difference between lust and love. And there is huge differences between them, right?
Yeah.
So Solomon lusted after a woman, and she was in one. So God gave Solomon some restrictions, man. Don't be messing with these demon religions. That's all it was, man. Back in the day, even today, when you see all these people doing all this shit at they're praying to demons. Don't even be all this. They're demon. They're just praying to some stupid demon or a glory hole that they used to go to or whatever, man. That's all it is, right? So he had specific things back in the day, like, do not mess with these things. But Solomon started marrying these women and letting them keep their religion, and they were building these shrines and high places,
to the
basically,
variety of
mountaintops
deities that they worshipped. Or
so he came across this girl, this woman. She was very supposedly so beautiful, and I just don't know. Like after 700 women, 300 concubines, that you would find one that'd be like, okay, out of all those, this is the banger, right? So he wanted her. She wouldn't be with him. She's like, I want you to pray to, my bamboo
whoever
pin.
that
My
is.
bamboo pin.
Right.
He's like, I'm not doing that. And so
whatever chosen deity.
Yeah. And so she said to him, she's like, hey, look here. Here's 7 grasshoppers, right? Kill these grasshoppers, and then I'll sleep with you, right? And so he took his thumb and he started smashing the grasshoppers, and instantly God rebuked him and left him. Just left him. He even says in the book, when you read this book, he says when he hit the last one, he felt God leave him, and that was it. And that started his rumble. God got pretty upset, and then as should be, he's literally giving everything. And that started his fall, right, to go and do it. And that's when, everything started breaking down. All the bad stuff happened. As rich as this guy was and as smart as this guy was, he should have been able to have we should still see this kingdom. You know what I mean? Like, so it's not. It's ramming.
Yeah, it should have been like a power.
Yeah. But Nebuchadnezzar.
Kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it put him on a path too. It put him on a path of ultimate destruction, man. And when I think the Book of Kings talks about God finally has enough of the child sacrifice and the idol worship and just breaking all of his tenets, he actually sends Nebuchadnezzar down there. And Nebuchadnezzar smoked. I mean, not only the Israelites got it, man. He took the Egyptians out too. If you want to know why Egypt looks like it is today, it's because Nebuchadnezzar went down there with a horde, and he wore them out, right? And it's so that's how that happened, man. And during that time is when his son from Ethiopia went up there, snatched it, brought him back down, and all this other stuff. But King Solomon was a great man, took a great fall, dude, and it was all due to, the wrong woman.
Avarice, greed, right? It was greed.
You would think, right?
Because, well, I mean, there's no other explanation. He, and that was why it was taken from him, because he was given everything. And it wasn't enough. Yep.
But he was a good man. But he was a good man. He was a good man.
But he was a smart man, and in the end, the greed got the better of him. Yeah. Because and that's the thing, right? So there's a big, huge lesson there, right? Yeah. You're given more and more power. And as you become more and more powerful, if there is a want for it inside of you, right, it will take over eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Like we've had conversations. I can't. That's another thing I have a hard time with. I don't understand greed. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. Right? Like, now I do understand that where like every man out there, is susceptible to the wrong woman, jamming him up, right? Like no one's immune to that, right? That's not the foreign thing that I'm talking about on that as well. Like, but the thing that you and I talked about is where I can't understand the people's capacity for an insatiable greed. Pablo Escobar being the primary example, but I did also watch.
It's a drug.
Yeah, it is, man.
It's a drug, just like any other drug.
So I had read a book long time ago, man, about Griselda Blanca. She's got a Netflix special going on right now. It's pretty good Netflix, right? Some of it's not all of it's true. Some exaggeration in there.
So there's some,
A great documentary. Yeah, a great documentary you want to watch is like an actual Netflix documentary called The Cocaine Cowboys, right? And so that's like a really good documentary to watch. But she had several chances, right? Several chances to take millions and millions of dollars and just leave. Just leave.
Roll out.
Wouldn't do it. And because of that, all of her kids got killed, except for one. Like, she had 4 sons. 3 of her boys got smoked. She ended up going to jail for a long time. They deported her. She landed in Medellin, and within 48 hours, someone they put two in her head outside of a grocery store, right, for payback. So, yeah, man, like and so with Solomon, I don't want to armchair one of God's anointed, right? Because who knows? Like, we don't know all the story to go on that, but like, yeah, like greed, something was in there to get him.
Well, even the best human was human in the end, right?
For sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. But yeah, man. So King Solomon, man, great book. Great books in the Bible. Proverbs, highly recommend that everybody reads it. This book as well. Great
fascinating book. Stories in the Apocrypha, right? Like just this stuff that you wouldn't normally hear.
So here is my final zinger for you, right?
Okay, what's that?
Steeped heavily in conspiracy theory, heavily.
Okay, hit me.
So it's long reported that a certain paramilitary organization of ancient times, known as the Knights Templar, found the Holy Grail digging under King Solomon's temple. Allow me to introduce you to another version of that story. If you subscribe, they weren't digging under King Solomon's temple where, the Ark of the Covenant was. They actually found his palace, and they were digging under his palace, and in that palace they found all that gold. And that's why they just, during the Crusades, all of a sudden they just exploded into the first ever World Economic Forum of banks, right? Like power, right, to do it.
Yeah.
So that is that the Knights Templar organization, which still exists today in some form, they actually know the location. They knew it. They had all that money. They had all that gold. And that is why a lot of people don't realize this. Friday the 13th is only considered to be an unlucky day, is because that was the day that the Catholic Church planned for months to globally wipe out all the Knights Templars at the exact same time, right? That's the only reason why Friday the 13th is considered to be bad. Not because of a movie of some dude in a ski mask running around, right? That's the real reason. And the reason is because some people try to tell you it was that because a French king was in a lot of debt to the Knights Templar and didn't want to pay them back. That ain't true. The church found out where they were hoarding the gold. The church said, we know you're in a lot of debt with these Templars. Help us wipe them out, and we'll forgive your debt, right? And that is a very, 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 when you're dealing with human beings, right, plausible story to look into. Is that because it did happen. The Knights Templars did fight in the Crusades. The Knights Templars did all of a sudden, they were doing a lot of digging and excavating. And they did all of a sudden become very, 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 very wealthy. They'll try to say that, it's because they were lords and they gave up their titles. Wrong.
No, there was also a lot of transport going back and forth, and they were guarding that transport.
Exactly.
So
and
they had the opportunity to smuggle gold wherever they wanted at that point.
And they weren't a lot of lords. They were a lot of, wait for it, second sons. Yeah. The brothers inherited title, and then there was like,
they got none.
And that's why they joined the Knights Templar, but it did blow up on it. And the Catholic Church did plot and scheme to wipe them out and they try to tell you is because
Friday the 13th.
On Friday the
13th. October 13th, 1307.
Yeah. And the Catholic Church will try to tell you is because, they were devil worshippers praying to the head of John the Baptist. Wrong. Not even
just
close.
Too rich.
Not even close, right?
Too rich and too powerful.
Too rich, too powerful, threatened the church's authority. The church moved on them. Mafioso style. Like I said, the original gangsters were the Catholic Church. And I'm not knocking them down too hard.
Well, but we're talking about the Catholic Church of 1307.
Yeah, so the Catholic Church does good things, man. I'm not knocking them down, man.
This was a different time. Like the world was completely different 1,000 years ago.
And
nearly 1,000 years ago.
And wait for it. Here, you ready for your last one of the night? The last one of the night, son. I'm about to blow your mind again, right? Not all the Templars got rounded up that night, right? Not all of them got rounded up. Some of them bugged out with a lot of money. Guess where they went?
Argentina.
Nah, baby, you're sitting in it. Came over here, man. Landed somewhere up in Massachusetts or something like that, man. You can find Knights Templar stones
I heard
up there.
about that.
And they headed in. And the going theory is that they started heading. They wanted to get away from the coast, so they headed, and they ended up settling somewhere in Michigan. They came across those lakes. Those lakes were so big they actually thought they were oceans, which is true. Those lakes are so big that planes have crashed in there and never been found, right? And so
you would think that they were oceans.
They thought they were oceans
from their perspective.
So they thought they were safe.
Absolutely, no way. They would know any different.
They thought, but then when they got over there, I'd be curious to know. They thought it was oceans, but then they had to immediately figure out, like, those are freshwater lakes, right?
It would definitely taste different if they decided to like dip their hand in there. So
imagine seeing that for the first time. Imagine seeing the Great Lakes for the first time. Like, yo, WTF? Was this an ocean? I've never seen a lake this big ever, right? So,
I can relate because, dude, when we went to boot camp, I went to boot camp.
You were in Great Mistakes, weren't you? You were in Great Mistakes, baby. I forgot about that.
I was. I have looked out on that big ass, massive freaking lake from a high building too, and that shit it's unimaginable. I can't even imagine walking up on that out of the forest, right? Because that's essentially what you would do, because it was all forest at that point.
Yeah, for sure. And to just add this to you,
out of the forest and poof,
and it was so foreign, even as much later in their timeline. Lewis and Clark actually thought they were going to bump into dinosaurs. That's in their journals. Yeah. That was in their journals, right? They actually prepared that they might have to fight
bump into like big ass creatures of some sort,
prehistoric like dinosaurs. It leaves like that. Just in case we have to encounter dinosaurs. I think it wasn't until that they
Olmecs took care of the dinosaurs in America.
There is some good stuff coming out of on the internet about how they found in the Grand Canyon sculptures of men riding dinosaurs and coexisting with dinosaurs. Right?
That's been one of the things that has been really fascinating to me is how long would it take a technological society to completely be unfindable, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like if humanity, so modern humanity as it stands, right? We know that they've existed for quite a while, a couple 100,000 years, right? What were we doing for all that amount of time, right? Living in caves, wandering around as tribal people for like, we don't know.
I have a theory. I have a timeline guess. I've thought about that myself, right?
Right.
So, barring a Younger Dryas level event where you're gone in an afternoon, right?
Right.
A pole shift where you have you have category 7 winds on the planet.
Extinction level event.
Right. You're gone, right? So there's no building standing, nothing like that, right? I would say that if you snatched all the people off of this planet at one time, within 100 years, there would be no more easily findable
trace
of our society. And here's why. Right? 2 reasons why. I've actually seen the jungle in Diego Garcia grow back in like 3 days. It was and
eat something, yeah.
Freakiest, craziest thing I've ever seen in my life, right? Like they call it, it was so dense and so like it was like literally like Jurassic Park. Like we used to call it the scabby, because not only was it so dense, the canopy was so thick that it in like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, certain places are pitch black dark in there. Like you can't see, right? And when you're blazing a trail, If it within 72 hours, that trail is gone already. Like it's gone. And also brings me back to it like when they developed LiDAR and when the Ponce de Leon was giving polio and chickenpox to all the people of South America, there was a monk that specifically, I can't remember his name. Graham Hancock talked about this with Joe Rogan. He took a canoe ride, right? And the stream was too powerful for him to turn around, so he was at the mercy of this stream. And he says he was on there for basically from the western coast to the east coast he ended up. But he reported coming across populations of people, pockets of civilization, 60,000 strong people, right? In one area, then he'd move down, there'd be 100,000. So he was talking about
cities, essentially.
Cities, right? Yeah. And so people were like, but when he reported it back to Spain, they came back 10, 15 years later. They couldn't find any of this stuff, right? They said, oh, this must be a lie. Bro, in 10 years, the jungle had taken those cities back, right?
Yep.
And it wasn't until 10 years ago that we started flying over there with these LiDAR planes that we actually found these things.
Right.
And all you got to do is that it's always amazed me in the South, especially in the South, but in Pennsylvania as well, man. Mm-hmm. Rural areas in West Virginia. If you pave a road, right?
Yeah.
And then you know where I'm going with this, man. And then like
they'll leave it.
This and you leave it alone, and they're like, okay, we're not going to use that road anymore. We're going to go over here. Within 3 years, the grass has taken that pavement back over, man. It'll come out of it. It'll crack it. It's gone. It's completely gone. Now imagine 100 years of this, that, and the other.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And then you got to think of what kind of event it was, right? Like if it's
a flood, it's done.
Kind of catastrophic, like shift of water, like
it's done.
Whatever. It's going to wipe out like a lot of this stuff. There's been some Discovery Channel specials on like after humans and stuff like that, and I've watched them a little bit, but it's hard for me to sit still and watch that stuff for any period of time.
If you think in 100 years you're going to walk into New York and there's going to be a skyrise still standing there, you're nuts, right?
Here's a good story for you, man. Go look up the story of Centralia.
Centralia?
Yep, Centralia, Pennsylvania.
All right.
Used to be a coal mining town.
Oh, I actually heard about. I think there's a theory. There's a conspiracy theory on that. Right?
Is there?
Well, you can't live there anymore, right? You can't even go in there, right?
It's burning. There's a coal fire underneath the town, and it smokes comes out of the ground and shit.
Yeah.
Like
so I actually buy the coal mine burning. The theory, other than this theory, is that obviously a portal. Someone opened up a portal.
Somebody opened a portal to hell.
And then so they came in there and doing that. It's actually a pretty good story, man. Like it's like I said, it's a pretty good story.
It was so the accepted like historical story is just you should check it out. It is just a comedy of errors. Mm-hmm. They decided to bury trash in the abandoned coal mine, and then someone had the bright idea of lighting that trash on fire.
Too bad they don't use the Higgs bosons to fix that, Jay. Inside joke on the podcast, y'all.
Can't fix stupid. Sorry.
Can't fix that. So that's not to be confused with the town. This was a terrible tragedy where they were storing up a reservoir of coal mine waste that broke a levee and flooded a town.
No.
You know what I'm talking about? I think that was in West Virginia. That was horrible.
Yeah, I think it was in West Virginia. This is pretty famous. It's still burning, basically. You can go up to the edge of it.
And this is why aliens don't talk to us, son. Right here.
It's exactly why they don't, because we're idiots.
Right here. Talk to me. Right here. But yeah, bro. So that's the story.
Come take us. I would like to leave now. If you can. Anytime. I'm good.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So that is the story of King Solomon right there, y'all. Go read the book. Go read. You can find it online. You don't have to buy that big book I have right there, man. Go on there. some people have
There's some freely available sources out there.
Oh yeah, there's some really good YouTube, like some very creative artists have like made illustrations to talk about it, to do it. Very good. I can't remember his channel, man. I should give it a plug. Do you know his channel? Top of your head?
I got
history something or whatever. I know that's not doing.
If you give me a second, I will be able to tell you. But
Jay works on that. I'm going to tell you, if you're stuck around this long, you are kind of losers. Boom. Hit that subscribe button. You should have did that about 45 minutes ago, but hey, nobody's perfect. Leave a comment down there. Let's get into an argument because it bumps up the algorithm on it, and then we can go from there. I don't give a crap what you do with that bell, but check out our short
section. Plug out to the Legends of History channel.
Legends of History channel. Good. That's a good channel, man. There's some good stories on there, man. And so go check it out and get a look on it. So Jay, were you amazed?
I was pretty amazed. Bob Marley, that one definitely threw me.
How long have you known me, Jay?
That's an interesting story. A long time.
20 years?
Well, longer than it's almost close to 30, sir.
Is it really?
Yeah, man.
You ain't lying, dude.
Yeah.
30 years, and I'm still amazing you. Right?
All the time.
30 years, and I'm still amazing you. All right, everybody. Walk us out of here, Jay. Tell everybody bye. Boom.
Have a good one.
See you next week.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.